Hello? Could everyone come on this side, please? Okay, today we have gathered for a day of education, fellowship, and learning. We wanted to share our news exhibit with you all, Scipio Jones and the 12. So we'll be discussing the Elaine race ride, and we just wanted to share that history with you all, because that incident, well, it is history of Elaine, it's history of our state, and it's part of the United States history. So that's why we want to bring our community together so that we can talk about the Elaine race ride and share some more information about things that happened in history during that same time. And we also have the mayor of Elaine here also, and she'll be talking. So to get started, I just wanted to welcome you all to the opening of our exhibit on today. Now we'll have, Dr. Cal is in an interview. So we have Mr. Thomas Jacks, and he's our assistant director here at the Delta Culture Center. So we have him to come, and he would talk to you all. Okay.
Okay, this could be interesting. Welcome. We're so happy to have you all here. Ruthie, what am I supposed to be talking about?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Whatever I want to talk about? As I said, we're very happy to have you here. This is a wonderful new exhibit. One of our staff members is our artist, Candace Dolls, and we're very happy to be showing off her art. And this all complements some of our student programming that we're working on for this month. We'll have the program on February 29th, and that'll be over at, Cliff, help me out. We'll have that over at PCEC, and we'll have the program over there on the 29th. Students, and they're looking at the subject of Elaine, and we thought this would go well with it. And so, have a good time. Enjoy the refreshments. I think Ruthie will let you in over there in a few minutes. and take a look around. Thank you.
And now we have Daniel Cockrell, director of the Old State House in Little Rock.
So I'm going to speak real quickly just to say thank you guys for allowing the Division of Arts and Heritage to be a part of this. Our director, Marty Riles, is not here, so he sends his regards. He will be here shortly. I think he got held up in traffic. And so I'm just going to say it's good to be a part of this. Thank you for having us, okay? Thank you.
And now we have Ms. Candace Dolls. She's going to talk about her artwork and what inspired her when she was doing her artwork. Hey y'all, thanks for coming. When I first did this artwork, that was my first time even hearing about the Elaine Massacre, and that was in 2018, 17, 18. As I was doing the artwork, I was learning about it at the same time. And I had no idea that about several years forward, I would be working here and talking about the culture of the Delta that I've had the blessing to add to with my own artwork. If you look over there in that back corner, that's my personal artwork, and this is the artwork from the page, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And like Thomas said, we have the Scipio Jones play at the community room at PC on the 29th. We have 3 showings, one at 9:30, one at 1 p.m., and another one at 6. And I hope I get to see you guys there. Thanks. Okay, now we're gonna have Moments in History by Cliff Dean. He's our public information officer, and we just want to share some more information with you all about events that was going on around the world during that same time in 1919.
Mine is a little bit different from that because I'm talking not only about some other events that were happening, but mainly it's a biography of Scipio Jones himself. And this is one of the most important lawyers in the state and really around the nation because he made national news, not only for what happened here with the Elaine 12, but what went on, other things he was involved with as well. So I'm going to try not to be too long-winded. I'm going to skip around a little bit, but I'm a retired teacher, and so every once in a while that will fall back in. And so I might get a little long-winded because he's a very fascinating, interesting figure that we all need to know about. Distinguished attorney and outstanding citizen. That description of Scipio Africanus Jones comes from an obituary in April 2nd, 1943 edition of The Caller, which was published in Kansas City, Missouri. Looking back at the career of this famous attorney, those are probably the words he would be proud to be remembered for. Attorney Jones championed people and causes to make his community, state, and nation better. From the infamous Elaine 12 trials and the ultimate victory for his clients, his struggle for African American involvement in the Republican Party, to his support for the Red Cross and YMCA, Scipio A. Jones never wavered. He was born on August 3rd, 1863, near Tulip in Dallas County, Arkansas. He would attend school for African Americans in the Tulip area until moving north to Little Rock, where he furthered his education. In 1885, Jones earned a bachelor's degree and began teaching. While doing this, he studied law and passed the state bar on June 15, 1889. His interest also turned to the Republican Party and served as secretary at the 1890 Republican Convention in Pulaski County. 2 years later, he unsuccessfully ran for state representative, but that didn't deter his involvement. For the rest of his life, he would support and argue with that party about how African Americans were represented. Jones would serve as a delegate to the Republican National Conventions in 1908 and 1912. Although not doing well in politics, Scipio Jones began to build a reputation as a lawyer in Arkansas. In 1898, the Arkansas Colored Bar Association was organized with him as president. Like many young lawyers, Mr. Jones handled his share of trivial cases as he learned the ropes and interacted with fellow attorneys and judges. Many of these relationships he built during this time would prove useful in the future. Early on, Attorney Jones worked to reform the state convict lease system and aid clients who were denied their rights to a fair trial. His credentials were accepted by the Arkansas Supreme Court in 1900, then the United States Supreme Court, and then the United States Court of Appeals in 1914. In addition to his law practice, Jones invested in real estate and businesses around Little Rock. He also became the national attorney of the Mosaic Templars of America, which was one of the largest African American fraternal organizations in the nation and one of the largest black-owned businesses. The organization provided burial and life insurance to its members, along with loans and medical services. In 1915, Attorney Jones was appointed a special judge in a case at Little Rock, and this was the first time an African American had been made judge in that city. During World War I, Attorney Jones urged African American men to register for the draft, African American families to purchase Liberty bonds, and join the fighting in Europe. At home, he financially supported the YMCA and other institutions to help the youth. In July 1919, Jones, along with other influential African American leaders like the Reverend E.C. Morris, was asked to serve on a committee for state centennial celebration. Most of these duties were put on hold, though, by the events that took place in Phillips County during what would become known as the Elaine Massacre from September 30th to October 2nd, 1919. During the days and weeks that followed in Phillips County, 12 African American men were convicted of murder and sentenced to death, along with over 80 others given prison sentences. Many of these trials lasted less than 30 minutes, some much less. This made national headlines, and 3 organizations got involved. The NAACP hired former State Attorney General G.W. Murphy for only the 12 men sentenced to death, who would become known as the Elaine 12. 2 other organizations hired Scipio Jones to represent all the convicted men. Because Murphy and Jones were friends, they agreed to work together. After Murphy died in 1920, Attorney Jones took up the lead in the appeals process. The NAACP then retained Jones, and he was credited with writing the brief used before the Supreme Court. After years of appeals, motions, and almost carrying out the execution sentences, the last of the Elaine defendants were released in 1925. Noted African-American journalist William Pickens wrote the following about that event. But in spite of the foolish counsel of those who wanted quiet, this fight was made and kept up at considerable expense and some peril to individuals until today. As I write, the national office is reading a telegram from Scipio Jones, the last of the 6 victims who were destined for the electric chair 60 months ago are now free. This job for the NAACP is not only the greatest job ever done by Scipio Jones, but the greatest achievement of any Negro lawyer in the history of the country. Truly, he is Scipio Africanus Maximus, drawn on a Latin term. After Scipio Jones returned to his practice at Little Rock and continued his work in the Republican Party. In 1928, he was elected delegate to the Republican National Convention in Kansas City. During the 1930s, Jones toured the state, promoting the Red Cross and the important work it was doing. He made a number of trips here to Helena, gave a number of speeches about how important the Red Cross was for flood victims. Sadly, on March 28, 1943, Scipio A. Jones passed away at his home in Little Rock. After his funeral in the Bethel AME Church, he was buried at Haven of Rest Cemetery. In his honor, a junior and senior high school in North Little Rock was named after him, from its construction in 1928 to its closing in 1970. The U.S. Post Office at 1700 Main Street in Little Rock was named for Jones in 2007. The life of Mr. Scipio Jones was indeed distinguished and outstanding.
Let's give everyone a hand that has spoken now. Thank you all. Wonderful. Okay, now we have descendant of the Elaine 12, Mayor Lisa Gilbert. She's going to talk about her work and her community.
Good evening, everyone. First, thank you to Candace Dolls for inviting Elaine into the space. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Lisa Hicks Gilbert. I'm the founder of Descendants of the Elaine Massacre of 1919, more formerly known as Dome 1919, and the current mayor of Elaine. My relationship and my knowledge of Scipio Jones began quite by accident. When studying as a paralegal, ran across the book Blood in Their Eyes, which included the case of the work of Scipio Jones and his fight for the Elaine 12, and 2 of my ancestors, Ed and Frank Hicks of the Elaine 12. Scipio Jones has a special place in the heart of the descendants of the victims of the Elaine Massacre. He also has a place on Main Street in Elaine. It is called the Turning Point Park, and it is in his honor of fighting and especially making sure the turning point in history regarding the 14th Amendment and his fight for the freedom of the Elaine 12. A couple of things to note about his work and his fight to free the Elaine 12 and the other Black sharecroppers who had been unjustly charged and almost executed. One of the things I think is a little known, that in the Dunbar community in Little Rock, that community along with the NAACP and other people in Little Rock, when the Elaine 12 were on the wall or in the penitentiary in Little Rock, they housed the families of the Elaine 12 and many of the sharecroppers' families who were fleeing, who were in fear, the Dunbar community. So we have a special connection, and we work closely with them, and one of our projects is to help renovate his home and restore his home, which is now on the historical register in the Dunbar community in Little Rock. Scipio Africanus Jones is a hero. His work, saying the wise and intelligent and wise, I say resilient and brilliant in his fight to free the Elaine 12, and also this turning point in our history of saving the lives of those who were fighting for freedom, who were fighting for justice. And I always tell people we carry the blood of our ancestors, and they left a blueprint for us to follow. And in honor of protecting their history, of protecting our history, and protecting their stories, and honor them respectfully, we carry that mantle in the descendants of the Elaine Massacre of 1919 in all of our work. And that prominent place for Scipio Africanus Jones will always be remembered, and we will always include him in our work. And a special part of our work also includes reconciliation and healing, to make sure that our community comes together and acknowledge our history and unite to move forward. Thank you so much for, again, inviting Elaine into the space.
Thank you to Mayor Hicks and to each one of you all for all the information that you all shared today. Our director is free now, and he's out of his interview, so we'll have him come say something. Won't you say hello?
I just say hello. Let me just say thank you all for being here. It's a Friday afternoon, so I know a lot of you could be in a lot of different places, but I couldn't think of a better, more important place to be as it relates to remembering and honoring who I think is probably one of the most awesome guys in history. I was just interviewed by a couple of upcoming journalists, so I know we'll see on CNN or NBC sometime from the University of Memphis, and they were asking me what was it that stood out to me about Scipio Jones, and what I said was this. I said, here you had an attorney who basically lost everything to represent 12 men. And he was someone who was moving towards having a very thriving law practice. And he took on the task of representing them and saw it through all the way to the end. And in the midst of seeing it through and having a very successful, at the end, judgment, lost everything. I think even one story says that they had to even get help burying him. That's a shame. So when we see these pictures of an illustration of a children's book that tells a very important story about a man who basically sacrificed and worked towards what we now built the foundation what we now consider to be habeas corpus or due process, which is now with all criminal trials, you have to have due process. He's a very important man, and he's someone that should be remembered in history forever. So with that being said, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Now we have our Arkansas Heritage Director, our boss from Little Rock, our supervisor, Marty Ross, to come and have something.
Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all being here and coming to this. And I apologize for being a little late, got a little detained getting over here, but it's always great to be back over in Helena and the Delta Cultural Center, and I'm very excited about this exhibit. I think it's well placed and well timed, and I know a lot of work has gone into it. I'm excited to have the chance to take a look at it. I know you are, but thank you so much to Kyle, our director, and Candace, and everyone who's been involved in putting this together. And like I said, I'm excited to see it. I know you are too, but thank you for coming out tonight, and we appreciate everybody who's been involved in putting this together.
Again, I would like to thank thank everyone for coming out also, and I hope that the information that was shared, you all gathered something that you can go back and share with your communities and with your family members. And we would like to invite you all back. Don't let this be the last time. Come back and visit us, and when you have family members coming to visit you, bring them down to the Delta Culture Center. Thank you all.